What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Money Moves with Kay. I'm Kay, and today we're going to talk about how to find distressed properties for free, part 2. If that's something that you're interested in, please stay tuned for the video. So before we begin, I want to kind of discuss a little bit about myself. My name is Kay. We're a military family. We actually were stationed in Germany. And from Germany, I virtually wholesale properties within the North Carolina area. So I have some tricks under my sleeves. I kind of talk about this in my last video. So if you have not seen the first video of how to find distressed properties for free, go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link in the description for you to check it out. Please be sure to stay tuned towards the end of the video. I have an extra tip on how to find these distressed properties for free. So make sure you stay towards the end of the video. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump into the countdown. The third way I suggest, an easy way to find distressed properties for free, is to follow the garbage truck. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but following a garbage truck will allow you to see where the garbage man or gal is stopping, right? So if they're not stopping at a property, that's an indicator right there that something's going on. Now, you will look at the property and see the condition it's in. Does the owner take pride of ownership? Is everything nice and neat, grass cut, all these things are intact? If that's the case, it could just be the case of the owner didn't put the garbage can out that morning, is on vacation, or whatever else may happen as to the reason why the garbage can is not outside. Now, any of these tips I mentioned that discuss talking to a person or networking, in this case, I believe that's networking, it's all about building a rapport. So in the case of a garbage person who's picking up the garbage in the neighborhood, it will behoove you to build a relationship with that person, right? So reach out to them and say, hey, I'll be following you on this day, or I'll break you off a little something every week, or however many properties you give me, I'll give you something for that in return for these properties that are distressed. If you could jot down the address, text it to me, call me, however you or whatever systems you put in place, that's a good way to just build that rapport and make it a long-lasting relationship, because they come by these properties every day. So it will behoove you again to just reach out to them and keep that relationship positive. The second way to find distressed properties for free is to look for absentee owners. So absentee owners are people who own a property in one state or city but live in another, right? Or they could live in the same city or state, but they just don't live at that property that you're finding. So what you would do is take that property that you found. So let's say, for example purposes, is 123 Main Street, okay? You're going to take 123 Main Street and plug it into the tax assessors. After you plug it into the tax assessors, what's going to happen is it's going to pull up the owner's information, where they reside, their name, and other important information, including tax information, meaning, are they delinquent on taxes? Do they owe any taxes, or are they current? Once you find the owner, and if that owner's address does not match the current address that you're looking at, the subject property that you found that looks distressed, then that means they're absentee, meaning they don't live there, okay? So they could be renting it out. That's a potential, that's a possibility. But if the property's in shambles, more than likely it's abandoned, okay? So what you're gonna do then is try to find the actual owner. Now, I will say here, finding the owner, to me, is the hardest part in this whole process. Finding properties is out there, right? You pass them every day, you just have to pay attention. But finding the owner is another level of a challenge. We call that a barrier of entry, really, because not everybody knows how to find these owners, right? So I'll do another video on how to find the owners and my strategies and methods that I used to use and still use to find owners of these properties. But for now, just keep in mind that the absentee owner is very key and critical for finding a distressed property, because if they don't live at the property, they have less of an emotional connection. Not always, okay? Sometimes it has history. Sometimes that house or property has history. But a lot of times, if they don't live there and it's distressed and it's abandoned, they're less likely to say, no, I want to keep the property. Especially if they're paying taxes on a property they don't live in, right? So they're more inclined to say, yes, you can get it off my hands. Please just tell me how much you want to offer me, okay? If this video has brought you any type of value, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, go ahead and give it a like and share the video with somebody else you may think that could benefit from the video. All right. Thank you so much, and back to the video. The last tip I want to share with you guys is to make sure you find a Walmart or Starbucks in the area and drop for dollars in that area. The reason why you want to drop for dollars in these particular areas is that they've already done the market research for you, right? So it makes it easier on you to find sought after areas in your community when you're driving around, or especially if you go outside of your community and you want to do it across, in another state or whatever the case may be. Look for these key landmarks, because they will help you identify what areas are up and coming or what areas are booming. Now, I want you to keep in mind of this. Have you ever drove in your neighborhood and then you see a Starbucks under construction and makes you think, there's a Starbucks coming here? It kind of gets you excited, especially if you love Starbucks. But also, there's a reason why it's there. And you have to do the background investigative work to see, why is it here? What is going on in this neighborhood that would make a Starbucks come to this community? Okay, so those are good indicators to say, and they actually call it the Starbucks effect. Investors know about the Starbucks effect. Basically, wherever there's a Starbucks, the home value increases, right? And that's not necessarily always true in every situation. But if you see a Starbucks in a category C neighborhood or D neighborhood, and it's up and coming, something's going on to where that Starbucks is even wanting to be there. The same thing goes for Walmart, and even Chick-fil-A, honestly. These particular establishments appeal to a certain demographic. So if you are driving for dollars in these particular neighborhoods, you know that it might be a good idea to jot those houses down, especially if they are distressed, okay? So those are good indicators to say, hey, I want to be in this neighborhood and try to drive for dollars. And it kind of just narrows it down, because there's a ton of homes. So where do you start? I would suggest to kind of start there and branch out from there. If you stuck around to this point, I want to say thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the bonus tip for how to find distressed properties for free. So my bonus tip is to find overstuffed mailboxes or no mailbox at all. There are times when I'm driving for dollars and I see a property and it actually looks distressed or abandoned, but it may not be, right? So how do I know? If I don't see a mailbox, and now I live in the South, so we have a traditional mailbox, at the end of the road or the end of our yard. Now I know I used to live in DC as well. I used to be a teacher in DC. So they have like row houses, and they also have, the mailbox actually on the establishment, the property. But in my neighborhood, the mailbox is at the end of the yard. And if I don't see a mailbox at all on the property, that is a good indicator to me that something's going on. Now, also, if the mailbox is overstuffed with a ton of mail and you see a pink or yellow slip in that mail, that kind of means that something's going on as well. Not all the time. There are a ton of businesses that send those colorful pamphlets or things of that nature to homes to try to get their attention. But I'll keep that in mind. I'm not touching it. I'm not going through it, right? But I do keep that in mind, because you want to make sure that the property is empty. And having an overstuffed mailbox kind of, it's an alert to me. Like, why is nobody checking the mail? What's going on here, right? I can't stress enough to you how many homes I found with no mailbox. In fact, finding properties on dead-end streets is one of my favorite things when I drive for dollars. That's what I do, and that's how I find my properties. And also, I look for the mailbox. If I don't see a mailbox, how are these people getting the mail? That means that nobody's there if they're not getting the mail, unless they have some other thing going on. Maybe the mailbox is on the door or something like that, right? But for the most part, I find a ton of properties like that, and I'm pretty successful at finding those properties. Thank you so much for making it towards the end. I really do appreciate it. I'm a growing channel. Again, if you haven't subscribed, do so. If you haven't liked, do so. And until next time, you guys stay blessed. Peace.